The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Central Mat-Su, Alaska, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 37215. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting first, just under the front bumper on the passenger and driver side is where you'll find your front stabilizers. Moving up onto the angle of the front bumper extension is where you'll find your electronic siren PA speaker. Just inside that location toward the center, dual air horns. In the very center, unit identifier 62. Let's move up onto the top of the bumper extension. On the outer edge on the driver's side is where you'll find your mechanical siren top mount. Moving to the outer edge of the cab, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside that location is the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam will be located on the inside. Moving just above that area, you'll find emergency warning light, one slightly at an angle, and then the two forward facing in the same common bezel. Moving up to the seamless one-piece windshield, there are 3 windshield wipers. And then moving to the outer edge of the windshield are your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Located in the center, directly behind the front windshield, is the Haas system, which is your collision avoidance. Moving up to the very top section of the brow on the outer edge of the A-pillar is a downward-facing mirror. And then also across the very brow of the apparatus, your forward-facing brow light. Up onto the roof, your emergency warning light bar. Located within inside the light bar in the center is your Opticom. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front bumper items that we just talked about. First, mechanical siren. And then also, as we look toward the center area, additional storage here for a front bumper load. Full view of the apparatus from the driver's perspective. Let's focus in on the cab section, starting first with your front axle, Goodyear tire, visual sight gauge into the center of the axle area. Also, you'll find on the front bumper extension, emergency warning light. As we move into the cab step area into the driver's space, you'll find an air inlet and then also a 30 amp auto eject shoreline inlet. Moving just up from this location, turn indicator marker. Easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are the door latch and lock combination. Right next to that is where you'll find the grab handle. They are lit and are easily utilized for gaining entry and exit out of the cab. Also, directly behind the front door is where you'll find your side-facing camera. Moving up to the top portion of the roof line is where you'll find a side-facing scene light. Let's move around now to the body section where you'll find the midsection and rear stabilizer. As we move to the rear of the rear axle, it's where you'll find your storage location for folding wheel chocks, lower zone emergency warning lights. Moving up to the top of the body is where you'll find a side-facing scene light. And then as we move to the rear of the apparatus, emergency warning lights. We'll move around to the rear of the apparatus next, first starting on the outer edge with a clearance marker arm, also a cluster housing an emergency warning light, brake light, turn, and reverse light. Moving up, you'll find slightly angled ladders that will deploy for gaining access into the tower location. Also, emergency warning lights in the rear zone, and then just above that you have rear-facing scene lights. Located in the center, just underneath the traffic advisor, is where you'll find your backup camera, and then at the very top section is where you'll find your traffic advisor. Let's go ahead and move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. Full view of the apparatus. Same configuration and layout. The differences in this location and the rear body, just in front of the rear axle, is your exhaust port. Moving to the cab section, same configuration and layout also on this side.
And then as we move inside the cab area, starting first with the driver's space, we'll move to the door panel. Affixed to that door panel is safety and warning placard information. Just up from that location is where you'll find the door lock and latch combination. You also have window controls at this location for all 4 cab windows, a grab handle, and then an additional LED light here. Let's move inside the cab now, where you'll find in the stepwell an auto eject air inlet. Right next to that is your 30 amp auto eject shoreline inlet. When you are plugged into the shoreline inlet, the auto charge status center will display battery status. Close up here of those 2 items. Let's move into about the right ankle of the operator. When sitting, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, fluid capacities for the component, fluid capacity, and also fluid capacity type. At the floorboard just to the left, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. Moving up, the master battery switch, quarter turn, it's the silver. Moving to the right, you'll find the tech module and engine transmission ABS diagnostic port. Those are for your service team. As we move down, we have some additional switches located in the lower section for ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. You'll also find for your maintenance team your display port. Let's move just up from this location where you'll find the interaxle differential lock. And to the right, you'll find the aerial master, generator PTO, generator on and off, stabilizer camera, rear basket light, low intensity warning lights, air horn, and load manager. Moving just up to the right of that location, flat mirror and convex mirror control for the mirrors on the A-pillar. As we move now to the dash area, you'll find your ignition and start on the left, a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Headlight switch and a panel switch. Moving to the right, OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. Onto the dash, you'll find the transmission, oil, def level, and water temp. To the right, front air, rear air, fuel, and volts. Tachometer and speedometer located directly in the center. Diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will display above and also below the tachometer and speedometer. Looking just to the right of the driver's space. First, let's start at the very top section with the Pierce Command Zone. A tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information, touchscreen, and also function buttons. Also, just to the right, you'll find your windshield wiper control, push for fluid. As we move down from this location, we have some additional switches. Let's start first from the left, working our way to the right. Engine brake on and off, a setting switch for low, medium, and high on that engine brake. Off-road traction, and mirror heat. When these switches on the far right-hand side have been activated, the light will illuminate, indicating that they are on. Moving to the right, the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. To the right, Allison transmission pad with an informational note. Caution, disregard retarder when vehicle is on wet or slippery surfaces. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving further to the right, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style and also USB. Moving all the way to the right, you'll find a digital readout for your speedometer and a push-to-talk for your radio. This is close to the officer side. Additional storage located in the very center section. As we move overhead of the driver, I'd like to point out the yellow placard on the left, indicating the height of the vehicle, 11 feet 1 inch, length 43 feet 8 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 76,640 pounds. This also contains the 5-digit job number. Let's move further to the right. We have some additional switches. First, starting in the upper left with the Emergency Master. roof light, front warning, side warning, rear warning, Opticom, siren brake for your mechanical siren, and a alarm override. We have some scene lights here for front scene, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, rear scene. We have a moose light, rung lights, Big Dipper, perimeter lighting. Moving further to the right, you'll find your control module for your siren and PA speaker system, and also your unit radio. As we move to the center location, you'll find a seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green they're in the seat and belted. Also a do not move your apparatus if this light is on, indicating your door is open or compartment ajar. Behind the driver's seat, you'll find the manual control handle for cab tilt, also an audible speaker with volume control for your backup camera, air compressor. Moving just to the right, auto charge. When these two items are active is when they are plugged into Shoreline power. Moving just to the right, you'll find your grab handles. They are backlit LED, and also your side-facing camera. As we move now just behind the driver's seat, you'll find an additional storage location, adjustable shelf, and also control monitor for your nozzle position. This is a remote. As we move now to that front axle, once again, Goodyear tire and the visual sight gauge indicator in the front axle. Moving now to the rear section of the cab area, once again, affixed to the door panel are our safety and warning placard information, combination, door lock and latch, window control, and grab handle. Moving inside to the cab rear section is where you'll find two compartments that roll up, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side for additional storage. There are 4 seats across the rear wall, an additional storage location just under the seat pedestal area. Moving now back to those compartments in the forward-facing outer edges, adjustable shelving and LED lighting, roll-up compartment doors. Also, as we look from the rear cab seats moving forward, this is your view out the front of the apparatus. We do have on the side of those compartments battery chargers. Moving now to the floor area where you'll find at the rear portion of the engine, this is an additional access location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear cab wall. Once again, 2 fixed bottom seats in the center and 2 fold down seats on the outer edge. David Clark headset system for all seated positions. As we move to the exterior, this is a transverse compartment in the upper portion. As we move toward the next compartment back into the body section, additional storage for long-handled tools. I would like to point out a pressure hazard label down in the lower portion. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, your aerial drain is a ball valve located in the lower portion. And then on the far right is your aerial inlet. We'll continue move just to the right or toward the rear of the apparatus where we have your access to the turntable location. These are drop-down steps. As we move just to the right of that location, you'll find all of our overrides located in the portion. What I'd like to point out is there are black handles, and then there are also colored handles within this space. Also at the very bottom section, you'll find the diverter switch from the lower portion of the left here indicating by the arrow. The reason I point out the colors of those is those are indicated on this placard, indicating that those are aerial, moving to a diverter, and then also moving down to all of your stabilizer controls. I would like to point out a couple of warning and placards. One, a warning placard regarding aerial stability, regarding short jacking and solid surface, and then also danger. This compartment does contain high pressure hydraulic systems. And then at the very bottom, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. As we move to the midsection stabilizer, you'll find a visual camera located here for stabilizer placement. Also a warning, because of the movement of this device, there is the possibility of crush hazard. And then just below that, an emergency warning light. The rotation of the aerial device also can cause danger with a crush injury. We do have a toolbox located in the first compartment located here. Here are the compartments in the open position. And then I would like to point out a few safety danger placards. 1, danger electrocution hazard. This equipment is not insulated. Moving also to the right, just in front of the axle, SCBA bottle storage, and then also the fill location for your DEF fill, which is a blue cap. This is a 4.5 US gallon tank. Also, as we move into the compartments, you'll find a tool board. D-handle gains you access into this space. This happens to be a double tool board, so you have the ability to mount on the face and also on the rear portion. In addition, when the tool board is opened, it will lock into position, release located on the hinge side. Additional SCBA bottle storage for up to 3 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. An additional shelf that pulls outward and tilts downward. Then as we move back to the rear of the axle, SCBA bottle storage or pack storage. In addition, with your ultra low sulfur diesel fill location, it is the silver cap. Moving to the next compartment to the rear, we have a pull-out and tilt downward tray on the top portion, and then also an adjustable shelf. In this same compartment, we're going to find all of our breaker for shoreline power, generated outlet, and then to the right, you'll find the continuous power supply. This is for your generator breaker, and then just underneath it, the generator Harrison control module. As we move back out to the outside, once again, crush injury warning because of the movement of that stabilizer. This is the rear stabilizer. Also, you'll find a pull-out tool board located here. Release mechanism for that on the lower portion of the actual tray. All compartments open now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear section of the apparatus. You can see the ladders are deployed on the outer edges. We do have some fall. Remember, when climbing on or off, always face the vehicle. As we move to the rear, we do have our additional information for your stabilizers. This is the aerial stabilizer hazard warning. Also, an emergency stop for your stabilizers. An override, which is a protected switch. Stabilizers enabled, allowing you to function. And then just below that, we do have a tethered remote for controlling the deployment of those stabilizers. We'll go ahead and move through the rest of the items within the rear of the apparatus. Once again, a fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. Also, this is your inclinometer. This will be from passenger to driver's side. As we move to the very top, just a general view here of the rear tower portion. As we move to the lower portion where the ladder storage is located and long-handled tool storage, let's start first on the driver's side with a 35-foot 2-section, 18-foot roof, 35-foot 2-section. Moving to the other side, 28 2-section, 28 2-section, and a combo. In the very bottom section, additional storage. Moving up, once again, danger regarding electrocution hazard. This equipment is not insulated. As we move around now to the passenger side, adjustable shelf, LED lighting inside the compartments, and then also crush hazard warning because of the rear stabilizer movement. As we move forward to this location, adjustable shelving in the center, pull-out tray in the lower portion, and then a tilt-out, tilt-downward tray in the upper portion. Shoreline generated outlets here. Sample of the tray pulled out and tilted downward. And then at the bottom section, the release mechanism is located on the right. As we move through the rest of the compartments, you can see SCBA bottle storage to the rear of the axle for 2 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. A pull out and tilt downward shelf in the upper portion. As we move down to the rear axle, moving in between the tandem axles, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 3 SCBA bottles, an additional tool board located in the forward section, and a second tool board behind it. Once again, the release for those tool boards is on the hinge side. Once again, an additional danger placard regarding electrocution hazard, SCBA bottle storage for 2 bottles. Just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find your diesel exhaust. Tremendously hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen. Please be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle, especially during a regen operation. General view here of the side of the vehicle. This is the midpoint stabilizer. Let's take a quick look at the very top where we have a camera for that stabilizer. Also warning, because of the movement of that stabilizer, crush hazard. Also a visual sight gauge indicator for the aerial. This is for your hydraulic fluid. And then to the right, we have in the very rear portion compartment your cab lift. There are instructions for its operation on the face of the placard. We do have an additional aerial inlet on the passenger side along with an aerial drain. Through compartment here for long-handled tool storage. As we move back into the cab section, we're at the rear portion, red grab handles at the hinge point for gaining entry in and out. Also, safety and warning placard information on the door panel, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. We also have air conditioning in the upper portion, your David Clark headsets on the rear wall, 2 fold-up seats, and 2 fixed bottom seats. These 2 fixed bottom seats are in the very center. The 2 exterior roll-up compartment doors here. Exterior access, including interior access into those compartments. We're back to the front axle now. And then we'll go ahead and go just up from this location where you'll find your side-facing camera, grab handles with backlit LED lights. As we move into the cab area affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. Moving downward to the floorboard is where you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. Let's move to the officer dash area. This vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. There is information here regarding your airbag. Please do not mount anything within this area. Also, just to the right, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. At the very top, you'll also find these red and white labeled indicating spare wiring. Air horn and siren brake just to the left of the officer area. As we move behind the seat, this is your main unit radio module. And then as we look downward, this is also your David Clark system. Moving overhead in the officer position, we'll start first with the set of switches on the right-hand side. These are membrane switches, front scene, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, and scene master. Also, you'll find the moose light and also rear basket light and rear scene light. As we move to the left, you'll find your unit radio. And then moving further to the left is where you'll find your AM/FM Bluetooth Sirius XM weather band radio, traffic advisor module. Then as we look toward the center is where you'll find your speaker for your unit radio. Let's move back to the exterior. All compartments here are open. And then we'll go ahead and take a look with the stabilizers deployed. All 6 stabilizers. Just to point out, we do have an additional placard located here. This is where the firefighter would stand to operate this aerial device. It's also in the actual hood of the pedestal. The very forward section will find your intercom system, volume control and push to talk, and a speaker. As we move further down, you'll find your ladder controls in the lower section. I'd also like to point out in the cover section, we do have some information here regarding the specifics of your ladder, and we'll go over that in a moment. Also, some caution, danger, and warning information placards. Let's start with your intercom system, push-to-talk and volume control speaker. As we move now to the control module, we have an emergency stop button. Moving just to the right, emergency hydraulic power, aerial speed normal fast, aerial manual control, and manual basket leveling disable. As we move down, we have our light control for tracking lights, under basket lights, tip lights, forward under basket lights, and rear basket lights. Also, nozzle control for the master stream device for deploy stow, stream fog, right, left, and raise lower. Moving now to the Pierce command zone, tremendous amount of information here, run on your fingertips, touchscreen, and also function buttons. Below that are your ladder controls for extend, retract, right, left, lower, raise. On the hood or cover of this aerial device, you'll find warning and placard information. What I would like to point out is your Ascendant 100-foot load chart, and this is with a 35-mile-an-hour wind condition, waterway dry. This is the load chart for those, and then waterway charged. Also, we have a nozzle position chart located in the lower section. And in the climate that this appears to be going to, in the very bottom, there are some asterisk information regarding freezing conditions that you should pay special attention to. As we move to the cab roof area, you'll find these indicators. Warning, this is a non-walking surface. Let's go back to the aerial device itself. As you can see, we have a 16-foot roof in the center fly. Also, as we move to the outer edge toward the tip, you'll find additional storage locations. These do have some weight requirements, a maximum capacity of 25 pounds. Just a quick view here of the forward section of the bucket area. We'll start now with identifying a few items. This is the rear of the bucket where you'll find additional storage compartments. And then as we move inside the bucket area, I would like to point out the same placard exists down at the lower portion as in the upper portion. This is your aerial tower load chart, once again, regarding a 35-mile-an-hour wind condition, waterway dry. These are the load charts, waterway charged. Just below that are your load charts, and then also nozzle positions. And at the very bottom, icy conditions. I would like to point also that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that the warning placard and danger placards are located on the right-hand side of this device. As we move to the forward section where the controls are located on each side, passenger and driver rear, you'll have additional exit and entry doors. As we move now through the functions here within the dash area, we'll start in the upper left-hand corner with the emergency stop push button. Also an aerial speed, whether it's in normal or fast condition, and a basket leveling, you have manual or disabled. Up and down is the switch. As we move to the right, a protective cover for your command zone, aerial ladder controls for extend, retract, right, left, raise, and lower. Same functions you have on the lower portion, they're just set out slightly different because of the size location. As we move through to the nozzle, you'll also find an additional discharge located on the left side, and then also wheel control for your discharge. As we move into the device on the left-hand side here in this image is also where you'll find information regarding the life eye, life ladder, and life support. Moving just to the right, once again, additional warning placards here regarding fall restraint required while operating with inside the basket, tip over hazard due to short jacking and load capacity, intercom system. This is passive, and there is a volume control. As we move to the dunnage area, you'll find additional top storage via the two D handles located in the very center. As we move toward the rear of the truck into the dunnage area, this is also the location for your Harrison hydraulic reservoir and fill location. The next set of images are that of the chassis and also engine compartment and engine area. We'll go ahead and move now into the engine area. First, we'll start with a few items within this area. Power steering, there are two locations for this. Forward of the engine location, visual sight gauge. Also, you'll find at the rear of the engine, this is a coolant recovery. And then moving to the very rear section, an additional power steering fluid, visual sight gauge also on that device. Your vehicle is equipped with an independent front suspension. On the driver's side is also on the frame rail where you'll find the VIN number. When the vehicle is fully tilted on the cab, equal pressure must maintain on the cab lift cylinders. This is a safety bar located here, so when the cab is fully upright, place the safety bar into position. Do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Maintain equal pressure on both cylinders. As we move to the battery box, you'll find at the very bottom section of the battery box the positive and negative studs. Also at the very rear section of the battery box is the location for your hydraulic fill for the reservoir for your lift cylinders. This will end the portion of the additional images of the engine and chassis. We do have an additional video here with your emergency warning lights on. Congratulations, Central Mat-Su, Alaska, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37215. If you have any questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.